Hey everyone, it's Marla. Welcome back to Twinstrology. Want to do a video today that's kind of like bridging two different topics, maybe. But I want to answer some questions that I get a lot. And I also want to talk about discerning twin flame information and discussing programs and how you can discern information so that you're not absorbing false twin flame programming on the journey. It's a big topic, and I'm hoping that I can tackle it today. I've been wanting to actually talk about these things for a while now, but being able to do it and have all these different components, and I also want it to be like in the right vibration and in a higher vibration. Today feels like the day. So I have a lot of information and I have got notes here because there is so much information. So let's get into it. Right now there's a lot of changes coming in. And one of the things that I've been getting is that the whole idea of what twin flames are is ready to shift. Now, part of this awakening is the divine masculine is connecting more. The divine masculine, they've been awakening for a while, so I don't want to say they're awakening like this is something new, but they're getting to this point where not only are they going to shift, but we're going to feel that shift as well. So like all twin flames. And I've been getting this a lot that there's like new information coming about twins because our consciousness is shifting. I did a really interesting QHHT session last week with another twin, and I'm going to be sharing that soon. I just need to edit that video, but a lot of things came through about this shift. And I believe she said that our consciousness is going to shift like threefold over the next several months. And so, because this is a big shift, I think a lot of perceptions about things are going to be changing. And that's why I feel that I'm being guided to talk about these things now and to talk about twin flame programming or false twin flame programming, however you want to say it, because we want to shed some of these programs to prepare ourselves. And the SRT video clearings that I've been doing, and I'm going to be posting more, are there too to help people clear these programs so you're ready to level up. So, yeah, and also, as I said, I get a lot of questions from people, and it seems like recently I'm getting a lot of questions about things that, mm, well, for me, they feel like programs. Maybe you won't agree with me, but what I want to focus on in this video really is giving you tools to think about as far as how you're processing information that you're getting from other sources and how to know whether it sits right with you. And, everybody's on a little bit different journey. And so there's going to be some variances, but I've also tried to come up with some commonalities and some points that I think everybody can benefit from focusing on. I'm also going to follow this up with an additional SRT clearing for false twin flame programs. So stay tuned for that. So first of all, what is a program? A program starts as a thought that becomes a belief, and then it becomes a program. So a program is like a very ingrained belief. We could also say it's like an indoctrination in a way. We can think about that as like political programs, for instance, or religious programming. There's this element of indoctrination because you're being programmed with what someone else believes rather than perhaps using your own discernment to know whether this is true or not. Now, sometimes these programs come in when we're very young, before we even have any discernment, and those ones can be more difficult to remove. But twin flames, light workers, star seeds, we're all here to clear programs. In order to awaken and ascend, we have to free ourselves of programs. At the same time, everything has programs, beliefs, and judgments attached to it. So, I mean, there's so many programs. I'm not sure that we'll ever release all the programs that we have, but we want to clear as many as we can because that helps us elevate our consciousness. So yeah, people talk a lot about religious programming, for instance, and because the Christ energies are waking up right now, I'm seeing on social media, when I actually am on social media, which isn't often, that a lot of people are posting negative things about religion and stuff. We have to remember that the new age is also full of programming. The new age is a type of religion, and twin flames kind of fall under the umbrella of the new age. I mean, they're not new age. Twin flames are actually very, very old, and you'll find a lot of ancient sources talking about twin flames. But when we kind of had this call in 2012 to awakening, and we had a mass amount of twin flames awakening at that time, it coincided with the new age. So, yeah, twin flames aren't necessarily new age, but a lot of information, or a lot of people that are discussing twin flames, what they are kind of in that new age category. But yeah, I do suggest, if you really want to know more truths about twin flames, the ancient sources are probably better. The Yeah, they're probably better than some of the things now. And it's always good, for your discernment, to get the full spectrum of information, and to get information from a variety of sources rather than just one source, unless that one source is yourself. But yeah, twin flames have become a catchphrase, a cliche, and a marketable commodity, just like everything else. And these things tend to create a lot of programming and falsehoods around them. Basically, when things become very popular, or they become, that marketable commodity, then everybody wants to weigh in with their 2 cents about the twin flame journey and what you should do on the twin flame journey, who twin flames are. And, honestly, not everyone is on the twin flame path. And if you're not on the path, you don't understand the journey. And there's a lot of people out there that they don't even believe in twin flames. They believe this is all fake, and they're talking about things. So, use your discernment for that as well. But I want to start with, what is possibly the one truth of twin flames, or maybe a truth that I hope we can all agree on. And that is, twin flames, or the twin flame journey rather, is meant to awaken us to divine love. For most twins, you met your counterpart in order to awaken you. And the awakening and the awakening and becoming divine love are intertwined. But I would say that, even if, I suppose, there could be twins that are coming together in this lifetime, and maybe they're not awakening, but the twin flame journey should awaken them to divine love, their eternal love. Like, there are times when I could just throw the twin flame label out the window. I don't really care for it anymore. I would actually prefer to just use the term soulmate. But it is what it is. And, sure, there's subtle distinctions, but it's a recognition of just this deep love. Like this is the person that I have been searching for. So if we can just agree on this truth that twin flames are meant to awaken to divine love, and the majority of twin flames are meant to awaken in this lifetime, then we have to really think about what are we consuming around twin flames? Because whether we think things are programming us or not, they are. Because things, a lot of times, they bypass our conscious mind and they go right into the subconscious. And those are the things that become the programs. So you want to make sure that what you're consuming is making you feel elevated in your level of consciousness, and it's vibrating at the level of unconditional love, because those two things would be in line with what we just said would be the truth about what twin flames are. Your heart should feel open when you're listening to something that is in line with unconditional love and higher states of consciousness. If something is creating fear in you, if it's creating anger, if it's feeding into your ego ideas of what you think you should believe, then those would be something that I would say are red flags that at least you should look at that information more closely. If something is creating drama, that's something that you should look for as being a red flag. Information should create inspiration in you, and it should give you a sense of purpose and clarity. You want the things that you're listening to bring expansion and freedom and not restrictions. Okay, we don't want to have rigid beliefs, because if we're very rigid in our beliefs, then we're going to miss opportunities that spirit is guiding us towards. The whole purpose of divine love and awakening is expansiveness and freedom. And so, again, red flag things that make you feel restricted. One of the things I ask myself is, what would love do? Or if I do this, am I being loving? If I say this, am I being loving? Sounds a bit cliche, but it can actually be a good guide stone for us. So, one of the important things that we're doing is opening our hearts and awakening our intuition. Opening our hearts and awakening our intuition are a joint endeavor. Okay. And we need to do these things to help us become more aware of ourselves. Being grounded as well helps us become more aware of ourselves. So when you're listening to things, I want you to focus on, what do I feel? What emotion is being triggered here? Why is that emotion being triggered? What thoughts are coming up around this? Am I surrendering my own power? Am I trying to abdicate my responsibility somehow in this situation? What is my motivation here? Or sometimes you might have to ask yourself, what are other people's motivations? These kinds of questions help us find discernment with information, not just twin flame information, but all kinds of information. When we aren't living consciously, we aren't aware of these types of questions. You know, we're not tuned into the feelings we get in our bodies. We're not tuned into like how something might be triggering our thoughts in a way that we don't want. But as we awaken and choose a more conscious existence, We must begin to ask ourselves these things and be willing to honestly look at ourselves. And these things begin to help us align with higher vibrational things rather than taking things at face value or being disempowered to the point where we're always seeking others' truth instead of finding our own truth. So, being able to put things to the test of our intuition and our unconditional heart energy is like developing a bullshit meter. And we really need this now, not just about twin flame stuff, but just about life in general. Being able to discern truth from programming or an agenda is going to be very, very important. So let's go into some questions that I get asked now. And these are questions that people bring me because they hear it from someone else and they might believe it for a while, but it just doesn't sit right with them, right? That's why they're asking for a second opinion on it. So, you may not agree with me on this. And my purpose here is not to call other people out on what they're saying, but more to be an instructional video to help people process information in a good way. So let's just get to some of the questions and we'll go from there. So the first question is, should I send energy to my twin? Because I've heard that it's wrong to send them energy and that you should ignore them because if you're sending them energy or giving them too much attention, you're chasing and you're pushing them away. So I'll tell you what I think about this. This to me feels like an attempt to manipulate the energy. Now, as we said, if you're on this journey, if you're watching this video, you're probably awakening. And I'm asking this because when we awaken, we realize that it's wrong to try and manipulate energy. And you shouldn't have to play manipulation games with the energy between you and your twin. Trying to manipulate someone else is not in the vibration of love and it's not enlightened. The energy between twin flames has a life of its own. And all you really need to do is work on dissolving your patterns and beliefs, and the energy will take care of itself. And the energy, when it's the right time, is going to draw you back together again. And you can't really outsmart the energy. But I feel like this belief is false because it's trying to outsmart the energy. It's like, okay, we're going to take the chasing dynamic, and in order to kind of circumvent the chasing dynamic, we'll just ignore that person. But that doesn't really work because the energy is kind of always the ultimate guide for twins. But when you think about not sending your twin any energy and ignoring your twin, how does that make you feel? Does it make your heart feel open? Does it make you feel loving? Does it feel good? Does it feel right? Because I think if you're a true twin flame, that it's really, really hard not to ever send your twin energy or to ignore your twin. I mean, first of all, you're connected. Your hearts are connected and you're constantly transmitting information and energy and thoughts back and forth between the two of you. So first of all, I don't even know if that's realistic to not send energy to your twin. But it's natural to have feelings for your twins, and to kind of implement a practice like this, you're going to have to shut down your emotions and shut down your heart. You have to understand that your heart is key to this whole awakening, ascension, divine love process. So if we're feeling like we can't send energy or we can't send loving feelings to our twin, to me, that's very restrictive. And it's going to take your energy field and your heart energy and just restrict it. And it's going to make you uh, feel guilty, feel ashamed if you start feeling feelings or love or sending energy to your twin. And those are lower vibrational things. So I've really been trying to impart to people how important it is to have an open heart. And if you are trying to pretend like your twin doesn't exist, and not even just what I'm saying here, but there's a lot of different things that people are going through that make them want to shut down on the journey. And that's gonna really not be good for your spiritual journey, for your connection to God, for your ability to manifest things. This journey is about awakening, and that means being heart-centered. And so I feel like a tactic like that is gonna appeal to people that are struggling to open their hearts or people that really are afraid to love. That's what I was saying when I was talking about, are these things feeding into your ego and what your ego wants to believe? Because some people are afraid to love, so they're just looking for things that reinforce their own belief that they shouldn't open their heart to their twin. That's what I mean by that. So, yeah, I just don't think that this is a good idea. But again, that's my opinion. So, my second question that I get a lot relates to question number one a bit. And that is, I shouldn't contact my twin because contacting them is chasing them. So, one of the biggest things that I want to get across in this video is that when we have very rigid beliefs and programs about how things are supposed to be, we become inflexible. And when we're inflexible, we're not really aligned with our spiritual journey. Okay, that's why the freedom aspect is so important. So, I think when we have these rules around contacting our twin, it creates a lot of inflexibility. So, how's with the idea of ignoring your twin? The problem here is that we really need to learn to be flexible and live in the moment. This is a huge part of awakening and being aligned with spirit and being in our intuition, being able to open to our inner guidance. So when we develop programming around all the things that we can or can't do, whether it's about the twin flame journey or whether it's about life in general, we're really creating a lot of imitations that we're not imitations, a lot of limitations that we're actually here to break free of. Awakening is freedom. It is freeing ourselves from all these rules. Rules are programs. We have morals and we have values, yes, but too many rules become rigidness. And not everybody is the same. How could we be? There's 7 billion people on the planet. So not everything is going to fit every person. So we have to learn to be open and flexible. So I actually work with this idea a lot in helping people break down these rules that they have around how or when they should communicate. And there's so much programming, not just around the twin journey, but how we communicate in relationships in general. So, what I disagree with here is that if you're too rigid, then you're not going to be open to your higher self. And there's going to be times where your higher self tells you to reach out to your twin. One of the key things to remember when it comes to when or how you should communicate with your twin is, what is your inner guidance saying? And, unless you're, in a really strong, solid relationship with your twin, communication is often best left guided to higher self. So there's going to be times where your higher self is pressuring you to reach out to your twin. But if you have this programming, then you might not do it. This kind of programming around contact with your twin is something that I work on with people one-on-one a lot, because there is so much programming around it. Some of it is twin flame program, and it's this kind of runner chaser belief. Some of it is not wanting to be vulnerable. Some of it is dating rules or old relationship templates. But it's important to break down these programs around communicating with your twin. Now, saying that doesn't mean that I'm telling you you should reach out to your twin. This is not what I'm saying at all. But what I want you to understand is, you want to be open to your inner guidance, especially the inner guidance from your higher self. And there's going to be times where your higher self is putting pressure on you to reach out to your twin flame. And if you have this rigid programming, then you're not going to listen to your higher self. Another thing here is that reaching out to your twin flame is not always about the interaction. Okay, sometimes your higher self wants you to reach out to your twin, and your twin isn't going to answer you. And that never was the intention for your twin to answer you. But it's about perhaps breaking down some program or belief that you have. And so your higher self is saying, reach out, so that you break that, or you break that fear of reaching out. You break down those fears of rejection and not getting the response. Sometimes the energy between twins becomes stuck, and you need that little bit of contact to push the energy forward so that things are no longer stagnant. So your higher self could be saying, reach out, and you might think, oh, higher self wants me to reach out because, my twin's ready to talk. And then maybe they don't respond. And that can, create more barriers within you. But that maybe never was the intention. The intention was just to free up this energy. So I want to make that clear as well. Another thing is, like, you reaching out might be, you reach out to them at the exact moment where they're thinking about you. And then you create some kind of synchronicity for them that lets them know that, oh, wow, maybe there is a connection here. Again, they might not respond, but these are all very important things that you need to be open to as far as your higher self directing you. So I don't feel that contacting in and of itself is chasing. Chasing is more of an energy than just contact. Okay, it's all about how and why you're contacting. So how would you know when is the right time? Okay, you need to learn to understand yourself and your motives. This goes back to the questions that I brought up at the beginning. How does this make me feel? What are my emotions? Where is the motivation for me reaching out? Is the motivation because I need attention from this person right now? Well, that could be chasing energy, and you may not want to reach out from that energy. You might be afraid that if you don't contact them every day or every couple days that they're going to forget about you. Okay, that might be the wrong motivation to actually reach out to them. Are you trying to manipulate them? Are you reaching out because you're trying to make them feel guilty, or um, you want to get a reaction from them? Okay, I would say in those situations, yeah, that might be chasing energy, and you may need to do some clearing and really honestly look at your motivations, your emotions around doing that, your beliefs that you might have about the connection before you actually reach out. But if it's coming from your inner guidance, you'll know it, and it probably won't go away. And you might be very resistant. And if that happens to you, that you get guided to reach out, but you feel very resistant. Okay. Again, I'm not saying automatically reach out. It's not what I'm saying at all, but I'm saying sit with it, analyze yourself around it, and also think about what's going on with your twin too. So, just as there have been coaches that say, don't ever reach out, there's also like uh Twin Flame Universe, Jeff and Shalea, who were telling people, oh, your twin has a restraining order against you. Who cares? Go to their house. Tell them how you feel. Like, that's wrong too. Okay. If your twin has made it very clear that they're not interested in talking to you at the present time, or they've blocked you, then I would say you got to honor their boundaries, of course. And like if they block you on social media, don't send them 10 messages through their email. Don't blow up their phone. You know what I mean? You have to go into the heart and say what's going on here, and how are we aligned or not aligned? So, yeah, communication can be very complicated. Another kind of layer here is often twin flames have anxious and avoidant patterns. So one twin will have anxious bonding, the other twin will have avoidant bonding. And you need to break down those patterns because you're kind of working against each other. So that might be a motivation for you if you're an anxious bonder. The motivation might be, I'm feeling anxious because I'm feeling rejected by this person. Okay, but that would be something where you need to focus on within. So what I want to say, guys, is that communication is not cut and dry. It's extremely nuanced, but I think the way to handle it is to remove the rigidness and try to clear as many programs as you can so that you're open to guidance in the moment. Okay, the third thing is astrology programming. There's a lot of programs involved with astrology. And a lot of people ask me about things that they hear on the internet, and they want to know what I think about them. And I feel that a lot of them are kind of baseless. So let me give you some ideas of what some astrology programs for twin flames might be. If you have Pluto Venus in your chart, then you just can't be twin flames. If you have Neptune Venus in your chart, then you're probably not twin flames. Twin flames have to be Geminis because Geminis are the sign of twins. Twins always are the same signs. Twin flames have to be the same element, or that shows that they're not twins. None of these things are true. I've been doing astrology readings for twin flames since 2013, and I've done a lot. And I've done a lot of research on this, and I've looked for patterns myself. There is no one pattern. There's no one thing in astrology that's going to say you're definitely twin flames. And my guides have said that that's by design. Maybe at some point in the future, when we're at a much higher level of consciousness, there will be one thing. But right now, like that would become too distracting. Like this whole process is about evolving and removing these ideas that things have to be rigid and one way and that there's always an answer. Like this journey, this awakening is about breaking down. There has to be an answer. There has to be one truth. And it's about like finding your own path. So, no rigid rules. Awakening is freedom. This isn't to say that astrology doesn't have value and that we can't learn things from astrology, but it's about using our discernment to say, okay, that might be a program, and maybe I need to rethink that. You know, like Mercury retrograde stuff comes to mind. There's a lot of programming around Mercury retrograde that because we believe it, we make it happen. Another thing is like sun signs, right? Like, oh, I'm a Sagittarius. I'm not a Sagittarius, but I'm just saying I'm a Sagittarius. So this is how I behave. Or it's probably more likely that you look at other people and you go, oh, you're that sign. Oh, you're that way. Oh, you're a Scorpio. Oh, well, I know how you are. I don't want to get involved with you. I don't want to be friends with you. And we have all these assumptions based on like the sun sign, which is such a small percentage of what makes up your personality. So those kinds of things are programs that maybe aren't so useful. But astrology is in transformation right now. And we'll see a lot of shifts over the coming years on how we use astrology. So it has values, but it doesn't have all the answers. So I've come to discover that we aren't a reflection of the stars, but the stars are a reflection of us. And the same types of things go for numerology as well. Okay, question number 4 is, have twins had past lives with each other? I remember seeing this a long time ago, actually, when I was just starting out. And it was confusing for me because one of the signs that I was a twin was that I spontaneously started to remember past lives. And I knew even back then that my mission was going to be helping people understand that they were multidimensional. And part of that multidimensionality is that we exist on many planes and that we have different selves all happening right now, right? Past lives aren't really past, they're all now. That's why I got into QHHT and past life regression, was because I wanted to help people remember their past lives. I've done a lot of regressions with twin flames, and I have yet to work with a pair of twins that haven't had a past life together come up in a regression. Now, you know, that goes with multidimensionality, having a past life. So I would think that if you didn't have those past lives, that you would have very limited connection to this earthly plane. St. Paul has said that which is not lived cannot be redeemed. That means that in order to heal something truly, we have to have lived it. And I think part of that comes from having all of these experiences in other dimensions, all different types of experiences. Yes, we can develop programs of lifetimes that we haven't had with our twin, but because our major pattern that twin flames are clearing is separation, then we would have incarnated together, in my thinking, in order to kind of anchor or ingrain the program of separation within us. And indeed, what I find for most twins is that most of their past lifetimes have been lifetimes of separation. Now, I asked my guides about this, and I asked if twin flames had past lives together, and they said most have, and that most twins have had approximately 30 lifetimes. Again, that's just an estimate. Everybody's different. I actually remember about 30 lifetimes with my twin, and I think my friend Angie over at Twinfinity about the same. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I think we've talked about this before, and I know she remembers quite a lot, and she's been regressed quite a lot, same as I have. But I also remember them spontaneously. So twins are fully multidimensional, and I feel that other lifetimes are a big part of that. That said, I try never to speak in absolutes. So it's possible that you could be on the twin flame journey, and this could be your first earthly life together. Remember, no rigid rules. Okay, number 5 is something that I've kind of pulled. It's not really a question I would say. I probably get asked this question in a roundabout way, but this I'm actually pulling from what I feel are, possible negative programs. And that's that there's one answer or one truth for everyone to get into union. I've seen people out there saying, like, I have the answer. I have the secret sauce for union. And come to me, and for, $5,000, I'll tell you what the secret is, and I will guarantee that you will be in union. If there was one thing, wouldn't we all be flocking to that one thing? Like, you wouldn't be able to keep that one thing a secret. So, yeah, and I feel like it's kind of a disempowering energy to say, "Oh, I'll just go buy that." So as I've said, awakening is about freedom. And to be free, we need to break down programs and beliefs. But if we believe that someone has all the answers and we need to go to them to get our answers, it opens us up to allowing their information to supersede our own information. So there is no one answer. And I think it's kind of a program in itself that we feel like everything has to have a material answer, and that our issues can be solved by going out and buying something, buying the answer. Awakening isn't that easy. The journey itself wants you to become powerful, and people can help you and people can give you tools, but really it's up to you. Twin flames aren't a gimmick, and there is no trick to getting into union. You can't shortcut the work because you're the one that actually planned the work. You're the one that set all of these things up for yourself. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't jump timelines, but you can't manipulate the energy because you can't trick the energy. You have to heal, and that takes time. A lot of people want that one thing or that secret, but the truth is that union happens through the little things that you do every day. The healing, the clearing, the taking time to meditate, taking time to analyze yourself, taking time to understand your motivations. You also have to step out of the idea that time or space exists, which brings me to question number 6. And that has to do with time frames. I get asked about time frames a lot, and that's often because other people are talking about time frames and perhaps saying things like, if you've been on the twin flame journey 3 years and you're not in union, then you're not a twin, or you're never going to come into union, or, you know, it needs to happen by such and such a date, or you need to move on from your twin. Well, time doesn't exist. And it's hard to pull yourself out of the space-time continuum, but to ascend, we must do that. So the time frame of your union is based on what you chose and what you set out to be your mission. You planned every aspect as of your life, as I've said a moment ago. So for me, there is no union deadline. And that's another thing that will close your heart off. If you believe that, oh, it hasn't happened by now, so it's not going to happen, how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel open? Does it make you feel loving? Or does it make you want to shut down? Does it put you into fear? Does it make you feel afraid that maybe you're going to be alone forever, or that you've been abandoned? Tuning in to how these things feel in your body, feel in your heart. If they don't feel good, then you have to look at those things more closely. There's always a possibility for things to change, for people to change and to awaken miracles. So I don't believe in counting any possibility out. Your twin's not choosing you, or your twin is not going to show up because they're weak and they're not doing their work. Now, sometimes this is a program that a person is carrying in themselves. Like because of your program, you might feel like your twin's not choosing you. Or you can go to people and and a person might tell you, "Oh, your twin's not coming because they're not doing their work." Well, again, I think that creates an energy that's very limiting, constricting, it's not loving. It makes people shut down, and honestly, it can bring in dark energy because it feeds our fears. So remember, you and your twin are one. And if one of you is choosing union, why wouldn't the other? If one of you is strong in doing your work, why wouldn't the other person be doing that? I think that can set us up for beliefs that aren't true, or things that are coming from our ego because of the way things look in this realm. But that doesn't mean that that's what things actually are. I think some of this too goes back to that whole idea of time frames. There is no time frame on eternal love. Your twin and you are aligned. And the point is to align with your soul and align with source energy. And if you allow that to happen, then I really don't see how one of you would be choosing one thing and the other would be choosing another thing. Again, it can feel that way or it can look that way from an earth existence, but this existence is not the totality of truth of what is happening. A lot of this is connected to like relationship programming too, and like the rules of dating, the rules of relationships. Well, if someone really cared, they would do this. But that's really not what the twin flame journey is, because the twin flame journey is about healing. It's not about reinforcing old programs and patterns. It's about healing those old programs and patterns. So your twin is not going to um, act act in certain ways that fulfill all your programs, if that makes sense. And also because so many people aren't in union at this time. Like, does that mean that 80% of the divine masculine is weak and that they failed? I don't know. That doesn't sit well with me, because I believe that we're all one and I believe the masculine is healing. So I have to believe that they're doing their work and that it's a matter of divine timing. So these kinds of beliefs too, um, they can feed into our fear and make us hard. if we think that, oh, my twin isn't going to choose me, or my twin isn't strong enough to make it, he's going to fail or she's going to fail, then it makes you not want to be vulnerable. It makes you not want to trust, and things that make us fearful instead of having faith, that make us distrust source. I would really look to those things and try to discern the truth and what is going on there. But I do see this. I see this a lot with people that are reading tarot. And some people, when they're reading tarot, they like to bring in the drama and get into, oh, this person, they're really treating you bad. Oh, this person done you wrong. This person's been cheating on you. And you need to be in your feminine power and put them in their place. You don't need to be the girl boss in your twin flame union. You need to be love. And that sometimes means softening. Doesn't mean not having boundaries, but again, what would love do? Love would not drop the hammer on someone. And, drama and fear-based thinking isn't really helpful to the awakening process. So if you're consuming a lot of things that are feeding your fears, you might want to just consider what it is you're putting into your memory banks, putting into your subconscious. Enjoy this journey. Don't think about this journey being just a means to an end, but actually learn to enjoy it. I have another video that I did called Twin Flame or Unrequited Love that goes into some of these things a bit more deeply. So if you are interested in more of this type of information or how to stay in your heart with your twin flame, then I really suggest that you watch that video. So I hope that you found this useful. So yeah, start checking in with yourself if you haven't been. Start feeling into the heart. Start uncovering your motivations with all of these things. Watch for a new SRT clearing on removing twin flame programs. And yeah, if you'd like to work with me, I will put my information below. Thank you all so much. Sending you love, and I'll be back soon.